Everyone ignored the CEO's paralyzed daughter at the wedding, until a single dad spoke up. The music swelled, crystal glasses clinked, and 1,000 eyes admired the chandeliers, but none of them looked at the girl in the wheelchair near the back of the hall. She sat dressed in silver, hands folded in her lap, her smile practiced and careful, as if she had learned long ago how to disappear in a room full of celebration. This was her father's wedding, the most powerful man in the room, yet his daughter might as well have been invisible. The silence around her was louder than the orchestra, and it pressed down on her chest with every passing minute. If you believe that kindness still matters in a world that often looks away, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Small acts of support can create second chances in ways we never expect. The wedding had been planned like a corporate launch, flawless and extravagant, every detail approved months in advance. The CEO stood tall at the altar, confident and admired, surrounded by executives, investors, and people who knew his name but not his heart. His daughter had once been the center of his world, a bright child who ran through hallways and laughed without fear. Then the accident happened, a single night that shattered her body and quietly rearranged her place in everyone's priorities. She survived, but the girl who danced barefoot in the garden never fully returned. Since then, her presence had become something people noticed only to avoid, a reminder of fragility in a room designed to celebrate perfection. Guests passed by her wheelchair with polite smiles that never lingered. Some looked away out of discomfort, others out of fear that sympathy might demand something of them. She watched couples twirl across the floor, felt the vibration of joy through the polished marble, and wondered how it was possible to feel so alone in a room filled with people. Her father had kissed her forehead earlier, promised to come back, then vanished into speeches and photographs. She told herself it was fine, that she was used to this, but her hands trembled slightly as the minutes stretched on. Across the hall, a single father stood near a pillar with his young son, both of them clearly out of place among the tailored suits and glittering gowns. He had come as a distant guest, invited through a charity connection rather than social standing. His life was measured in school pickups, late-night bills, and quiet exhaustion. He noticed things others missed because he had learned to read the world carefully for his child's sake. When his eyes found the girl in the wheelchair, he did not see an inconvenience or a shadow. He saw someone being left behind. The man watched her struggle to adjust her posture, the subtle strain in her shoulders, the way her smile faded when another group laughed nearby without acknowledging her. Memories rose uninvited, of his own night sitting beside a hospital bed, of the helplessness that came with loving someone who carried invisible weight. He felt a familiar ache, the kind that demanded action even when it made no sense socially. While others chased champagne and connections, he moved slowly, deliberately, toward her corner of the room. What happened next did not begin with words. It began with presence. The single dad positioned himself near her, not looming, not performing kindness for an audience, but grounding the space with quiet respect. He made sure his son stood beside him, steady and curious, learning without instruction that people matter most when they are overlooked. The girl noticed the shift before she understood it. For the first time that evening, someone was near her without an agenda, without pity in their eyes. As the reception continued, attention slowly followed that small disruption. A few guests glanced over, confused by the sight of someone choosing the ignored corner over the spotlight. The energy in the room softened, then changed. The single dad did not ask permission to care. He acknowledged the daughter as an equal part of the celebration, as someone who belonged. In doing so, he reminded the room of something it had forgotten, that joy loses its meaning when it excludes. The CEO eventually noticed the absence he had unintentionally created. He saw his daughter not alone anymore, but surrounded by a different kind of dignity. The realization hit him harder than any business failure ever had. He saw the years he had let efficiency replace empathy, how he had protected her with money but starved her of presence. In that moment, power meant nothing. Fatherhood meant everything. The shift was subtle but unstoppable. Guests began approaching, first cautiously, then sincerely. The girl's posture changed as she realized she was being seen, not as a symbol of tragedy, but as a person worth celebrating. Her laughter, when it came, was hesitant but real, like a muscle remembered after years of stillness. The wedding transformed from a spectacle into a shared experience, and it happened because one man refused to look away. The single dad never claimed credit. He simply stayed until he felt the balance restore itself. His son watched the room bloom with connection and carried that lesson quietly into his future. The CEO approached his daughter later, not with apologies rehearsed in his head, but with humility. The music felt warmer then, the lights less harsh, as if the room itself had exhaled. Stories like this do not end with grand speeches or viral moments. They end with something far more powerful, a change of heart that ripples outward. The girl left the wedding not as a forgotten detail, but as a memory people would carry with them. She had been reminded that her presence mattered, and the men who reminded her did so without expecting anything in return. If this story moved you even a little, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who believes compassion can change a room, and subscribe to support more stories that honor humanity. Before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with a single word that describes how this story made you feel, because somewhere, right now, someone is sitting quietly in a crowded room, hoping to be seen. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life is one person who chooses to notice.